My name is William Brown. I was born on November 9th, 1989, the parents of Neil Ever Brown and Deborah Frances Brown. Luckily, I am four different nationalities. I'm Irish, Italian, British, and Mexican. I'm going to talk about my dad's side, specifically his father, my grandfather, who was British American, and who he was as a father, as a husband, as a grandfather, and who he is after the death of my grandmother. First, I'm going to just give a short story of something that he was involved in his life. Just like many of our grandfathers, he was a veteran of World War II. He entered the Navy in September of 1940, and about almost a year later, we all know the day, December 7th, 1941, when Pearl Harbor was attacked. During that time when he entered the Navy, he was a water tender in the boiler room of the USS Boise, which was a Brooklyn-class light cruiser. He fortunately was not at Pearl Harbor when it was attacked. He was actually in Manila, He was actually on the island of Manila in the Philippines. He shipped out about 6 hours after Pearl Harbor was attacked from Manila, and then Manila on December the 8th was attacked by the Japanese as well. Unfortunately, though, he was involved in the battles of Guadalcanal in the Pacific Theater. Specifically, the Battle of Esperance is something that he has kind of talked about through his life with us grandchildren. The Battle of Esperance was on October 11th, 1942. And it was a bloody battle. Many ships, many people died. His ship specifically was very heavily damaged. Luckily, he was in the boiler room below deck, so he wasn't injured at all. But he lost lots of shipmates and friends, and it was something devastating that happened to him when he was in the Navy, and something he kind of continuously talked about through his life with my father and us grandchildren. He's very proud of the things that he did and the people that he served with. So now I'm going to talk to you about, like I said, his life as a father, husband, grandfather, and his life after his wife died. So my grandfather was born on February 17th, 1922, to the parents of Mary and Neil Brown. He was named Neil Ever Brown. He's a senior. My dad's a junior. And he was born in DeRuyter, New York, lived on a farm, and lived a very quiet, small-town farm life. After the war, he met my grandmother, Dora, and they got married on July 14th, 1945, and then had my dad on August 15th, 1946. After that, they had four other children, Maria, Mike, Tom, and Deb. So they had 5 children in total. My grandfather wasn't too much of a family man. He loved his family, not to say they didn't, but he worked. Just like every other father during that time period, he was a working man. The mother raised the children and the family. He was a plumber throughout his whole life. He worked and volunteered until he was about 85 years old. He was also a volunteer firefighter in the city that my dad was born and raised in, which was Warminster, Pennsylvania. That's kind of cool because I'm wanting to be a firefighter. It's a long process, but that's something that he and I can, have small discussions about. It's many years apart, but, so we can still talk about it. Like I said, my grandfather was, a plumber, loved his family, but worked a lot, and wasn't terribly involved in my father and my aunts and uncles' lives. However, as a grandchild, he was involved in our life until I moved out here at a young age. I am one of 3 children. My sister was born on April 24th, 1981. My brother was born on November the 4th, 1987. And I was born on November the 9th, 1989. We moved out here in 95 when I was about 5 years old. So I don't have too much of a relationship. We moved from the East Coast, so all my extended family's out there, including my grandfather. So the relationship I've had is from visits and phone calls and stories from my father and my aunts and uncles and him, my grandfather. So that's kind of our relationship as a grandchild and grandfather. He loves me, he loves us grandchildren, he loves everyone, he has great grandchildren, and he loves everyone. He has given me a lot of knowledge on small, situations and lots of wisdom, as most grandfathers do. However, his wife got sick. My grandmother had breast cancer. She also had many stomach issues and eventually had dementia. He was about 80, 85 when he had to stop volunteering as a plumber in a club that he volunteered in. and he loved plumbing, but he loved my grandmother more, so he took care of her. She died in October of 2010, and ever since then he's been he's been on his own with his dog, and he loves his life and he loves his grandchildren. And that's kind of it about my grandfather. So, like I said, he is a World War II veteran. He loves his children and his grandchildren, and he's led a great life. He's 91 years old. Thank you very much.